When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but do not ever quit. Success is a failure turned inside out. Let's talk and clear the clouds of doubt.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another exciting edition of your favorite program, Let's Talk. That's right, with your favorite host, me, Malik, of course, without doubt, on your favorite channel, Huda TV. We're talking about a very, very interesting topic, something that affects the entire Muslim world. Well, not even only the Muslim world, the entire world, that is, especially when we consider the current financial crisis experienced, originating perhaps in Greece and echoing throughout Europe and the world. That is the alternative to the conventional finance system, which is Islamic banking in finance. Having said that, there's a lot of confusion as to what is Sharia compliant, what banks are trustable, and so forth. Having said that, we have brought you several very important guests from a very important bank. If I might show this here, Jaiz Bank, based in Nigeria. It is the first, the pioneer, and the premier Islamic bank in Nigeria. We certainly hope that it prospers, inshallah, in the years to come, and is really a pioneer in ethical banking and social responsibility as well. Joining me today, we have the Managing Director and CEO of that bank, Jaiz Bank. Of course, he has 30 years experience in banking in the conventional core system as well as the Islamic system, which he will explain to us in this episode to give us a little bit of personal history as to his story, how he became the CEO of Jaiz Bank, of course, the first Islamic bank in Nigeria. So without further ado, please let me introduce Mr. Al-Hajj Muhammad Mustafa bin Tube, in addition to another very important guest, our special guest, all the way from Riyadh, visiting us here in Cairo, a financial consultant to the chambers, the KSA government, that is, Mr. Mustafa Rida. We're pleased to have both of our special guests. Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Mustafa. Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Muhammad. Thank you for joining us.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'm looking forward to learning more about Islamic banking, and having said that, it's important to compare and contrast it with conventional banking in order to give myself, the studio audience as well, you guys, by the way, thank you for joining me as well, and the viewers at home, because to be quite honest, there is some confusion as to what is Islamic banking, what does it mean to be Sharia compliant, and we can effectively compare that to the conventional banking system and create a nice full picture for our viewers. So having said that, Mr. Mustafa, perhaps you can start by giving us a brief, give us a brief explanation of conventional finance in order for Mr. Muhammad Mustafa, to give us the details about Jaiz Bank, Islamic finance, and how that works. Go ahead.
Okay, about the conventional banking you just mentioned about, the basics are that you lend money with a fixed interest regardless that the project lost or made the profit, you see.
Okay.
That's one thing. Number two, you provide credit facilities to services like tourism, for example, which it's something intangible, it's not an asset.
Okay.
And there's a risk, you see, because, as in tourism, you can see just now in our country here in Egypt, tourism has gone down, so the financial institutions which have lent tourism companies are having a severe burden, these tourism companies, because there's the interest that they have to pay, which is fixed regardless of the losses.
Right.
So that's one thing. The third thing, that they are based on speculations, that things that it's a sort of gambling,
right,
and risk assessment. So all these factors are not consistent with the Islamic banking concepts. You see, they are controversial.
Of course, they contradict.
From another side, if we see that some banks, it's only the fee structure might change, My bank may give you 11%, another one. It depends on your relation as a client and your importance as a client with the bank.
Right.
And so there's no benchmark that we can say, benchmark that like in Islamic banking. Islamic banking, the principles are fixed.
Right.
In controversial banking, if you are a big client talking about billions, like oil companies, telecommunication this year, these days, which is a very prosperous business,
Right.
they might get better terms
Of course.
than the real estate, you see.
Sure,
And
sure.
this is not fair,
Right.
because this is business and this is business, you see. So
Of course.
these are some of the aspects of the
Excellent point.
conventional banking.
Thank you so much for those comments. Having said that, let's talk about it. Islamic banking, how to compare and contrast it to what Mr. Mustafa just said. Do those principles coincide at all with Islamic banking? What are the main principles of Islamic banking, and why is it socially responsible, ethical, and what is the future of Islamic banking, inshallah?
Okay, fine. The main distinction between the conventional bank and the Islamic bank is that Islamic banks don't give or take interest. So there's no interest transactions. The second distinction is that anything that is harmful to society, we don't finance it, no matter how profitable this thing is.
Okay.
The third is that there must be a tangible trade, or there must be a tangible economic activity. So that there is asset-based. It's called
Okay.
asset-based. So that's why Jaiz Bank, which is the first full-fledged Islamic bank in Nigeria, so far we are not yet 1 year old, but we have all 99% of our financing went to the real sector of the economy.
Okay.
We finance agriculture, we finance education, university, secondary school, and other supporters of that. We finance real estate, housing, building materials. Okay. We also financed food and beverages industry.
Okay.
Talking about flour mill, about even tomato farmers.
Okay.
We are now trying to finance them.
Right.
So you can see that everything we're doing is based on something that is real, something that you can feel.
Right. Right.
Unlike the conventional banks, which will give you an overdraft, once you take the money, how you spend it is not their business.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other one, the difference is that there is a moral screening. Before we pass, there is a stages of approval. If you come and approach an Islamic bank for an investment or a facility to help you, besides your ability to pay the credit, that's what we call moral screening. That is, we have a board of religious advisors which will look and say, okay, Mr. Mustafa Rida, he wants you to finance these things for him. Is it in line with Sharia? So they will look at it, the product. And then the method of financing, is it also in line with in Sharia?
Right.
Okay? So they will look in, so these are, to recap, the basic difference, one is interest-based, the other one is non-interest. The other two, one is real sector financing. The other one is not necessarily real.
Right.
The third one is there is the ethical and moral screening, which we do and the others don't do.
Don't do.
So
Excellent point.
basically these are the differences. And also the other similarity is that the conventional bank, they make money. We also, Islamic banks, we make money.
Okay.
So it's not fee sabilillah, it's not
Yeah,
free.
we're going to talk about that, inshallah,
Yeah,
because that's a
yeah.
good
Okay,
question that a lot of
fine.
people
Fine.
are asking that question, inshallah. But I'm really impressed with what you said about investing in real industries that benefits the local communities and the federal government, or the people of the nation state there as a whole. Whereas you said, Mr. Mustafa, you said yourself, subhanAllah, when people, a conventional bank perhaps say funds a hotel, involved in many impermissible activities, then perhaps tourism goes down, like you said, in your native Egypt. They still have to make that payment.
Right.
And the bank doesn't, regardless. So this creates a downward spiral, doesn't it? And it makes it worse
Definitely.
and worse and worse. So that's an excellent, I thought that I could share my observation with you too. Before we go with more from you guys, I want to go to the studio audience. I know the brother in the back, Mohammed Hamza. He told me before the episode he has a special comment he really wants to share with us. So go ahead, brother.
Assalamu alaikum. Well, I wanted to ask your guests about something that is very important. A lot of people they ask about Islamic banking, and they say that it's not very suitable to a lot of the Middle East countries, like Egypt, for example, because they're based most of the conventional banking. Like the whole community goes by and invests in them, and they refuse to invest in Islamic banking. So
It's a good question. And
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of trust, isn't it? People are not convinced with it yet. But Jaiz Banking, for example, what is the response you've received in Nigeria? The First Islamic Bank there, are people tentative? Have you received a good response?
Okay. Thank you very much. That's a very, very, very good question. People ask, with so many Muslims in Nigeria, why is it that it's only now that you have an Islamic bank? That's the first question. And second question is, like he asked, even if you have an Islamic bank, either in Egypt or in Nigeria, why is it that the Muslims don't come out in mass and come and patronize this? They still go and patronize the river-based banks.
Right.
I think the first is, I'm sorry to say, we as Muslim Ummah, whether in Nigeria or where, I think we are not well organized. Our number, we are not taking advantage of that to empower our people, to patronize our own Islamic system. And because people are benefiting from the conventional riba-based, which is against Sharia.
Oh, without doubt.
Yeah, but so people, there is this fear about the new thing.
Right.
So
right.
they'll rather go to the places where they are used to getting these things.
Of course.
But alhamdulillah, we have come. Our doors are open in Nigeria after a lot of struggle. But I'm pleased to say that we are making progress.
Okay, excellent.
Every day we are making progress. It's very, very slow, but surely we are moving.
Where are you based? In Abuja? How many branches? Where are you
We
based?
have 3 branches now, but inshallah by the end of this year, in another 6, by the end of this year, in another 4 or 5 weeks, we should have about 10 branches.
Okay.
Right now we are in Abuja. This is why we have a headquarters. And before the end of the year, and we will have about 3 branches, additional 2 to 3 branches in Abuja.
Okay.
We have 1 in Kaduna. We have 1 in Kano.
Okay.
And then in Kano, we will have 2 more branches before the year end.
Inshallah.
We will have a new branch in Gombe, in Maiduguri, in Katsina, in Gusau. But this is only for this year and early by January. But we believe, inshallah, by the middle of next year, we should be able to go national, apply to the central bank to give us a national license.
Mashallah.
And so that will be in all state capitals of Nigeria, inshallah.
May Allah bless it and increase it, inshallah.
Ameen ya Rabbi.
Thanks. Mr. Mustafa, you also have great experience in the international banking and finance field. How many years ago did Islamic banking and finance appear on the international scene, if you can recall?
Really, it was since maybe 30 or 40 years ago, probably.
Okay.
I heard this term, but before that, I don't think
Right. It's
no one knew about it, or no one tried to investigate it, or try to research it. Or
Sorry to interrupt you, but I think the first Islamic bank really said that is in Egypt around 1963.
Faisal Bank or which bank?
No, it's Mid-Gamr Bank.
Is it still around today?
No, I think it is.
And what year was it?
1963.
1963, okay.
Yeah. And then after that, in Malaysia, there is the Hajj Tabung, which was a Hajj organization, but then they converted, to start operating like an Islamic bank.
Yeah.
Okay. And now, of course, this here, Jaiz Bank in Nigeria. Can you tell us a little bit about the history about how it opened, how it started, how you got to this point?
It's a very long struggle. The Muslims in Nigeria have been struggling for the last 20 years to get one Islamic bank. And this, alhamdulillah, is only last year that we got a license. So it's a big struggle. Why? Because the laws, banking laws in Nigeria didn't allow, there is no provision for Islamic banking.
SubhanAllah.
So all these 20 years we've been struggling and struggling to get, because you cannot get a license if there is no law.
Right, of course.
So we've been struggling. Initially they said, okay, even if we don't have the law, just bring the capital. It started with 500 million naira, which if you look at it now, maybe about $4 million at that time.
Okay.
So the Muslims were trying to get the money. Just when they were about to make it, they increased it to $10 million. And just when we were about making it, they increased to about $15 million. And just when we came and we were about to make it, then it was increased from about $13 million to $160 million.
Okay.
So you can see why it became so very difficult.
Now, we have to close this segment and go take a short break. But before we do that, Muslim or not Muslim, the viewer at home, especially our viewers in Nigeria, because we have a large viewership in Nigeria, they would say to themselves, how would I benefit from opening an account or doing some sort of transaction with Jaiz Bank? Let's just see how this benefits me.
Fine.
let's talk about, people will weigh the conventional bank and the Islamic bank, and they will go perhaps not according to what's Sharia compliant, but they go with what seems to be more beneficial. So when we get back, I want you guys to convince me how Islamic banking is more beneficial, and in particular, how Jahiz Bank is more beneficial for the average Nigerian, inshallah. You guys at home, stay tuned for more Let's Talk. We'll be right back.
We're still at the dentist clinic. Dr. Ashraf is our host. Dr. Ashraf, now you have the patient, and we've been talking about the sterilization and the care for the tools, either the disposables and the non-disposables. And one of the very important, most advanced tools for the dentist is the microscope.
And one of these things is very important, that we can take this image and we can freeze it so that my patient can join me and discuss with me the different treatment options that we have.
Being exposed to burn is considered to be a catastrophe, and some people would have the burn at home, some others would be exposed to it in the streets and at work as a factory or other places. And learning how to deal with the burn and how to manage the case, either going to the doctor, or just to manage it as an emergency and then going to a specialized person to deal with it, is a mandatory for all of us.
This is one of the most dangerous causes of burn, because I'm not only exposed to the heat, I'm exposed to smokes. These smokes may aid to the injury of the skin.
Welcome back to Let's Talk, you guys. I forgot to give you the contact information. You guys know the email. It's talk@huda.tv. And please don't forget to support us on Facebook as well, 3ws.facebook.com/huda.tv. And be sure to check out all of the individual Facebook pages for our programs as well. Having said that, you guys were talking about Islamic banking and finance. I think everybody's asking the same questions. How do Islamic banks make money? Should I use an Islamic bank? Should I continue to use my conventional bank? The answer is yes, you should use an Islamic bank. And if you're one of our viewers in Nigeria, please visit Jahiz Bank in Nigeria. It's right here, and we're joined by two very special guests. Of course, Mr. Mustafa Rida, who is a financial consultant to the KSA government, as well as the CEO of this bank, the managing director, the first Islamic bank in the most populous Muslim country in Africa, Nigeria. Of course, Jahiz Bank, and of course, Mr. Al-Hajj Mohammed Mustafa bin Tube. Thank you guys both for joining me. I certainly appreciate it. I wanted to talk about auto finance. I come from the United States, and we all purchase cars by using a conventional banking system, which Mr. Mustafa knows about, I'm sure, very well. From years of experience in the international community, you simply purchase a car with a small down payment at a very competitive interest rate. Now, how could an Islamic bank stay afloat and offer auto financing? What is your policy? What can you offer potential customers at Jahiz Bank?
We have Jahiz Auto Finance.
Okay.
And unlike other banks, or most other banks, the Jahiz Auto Bank, Auto Finance, finances both used cars and new cars. And this is part of our contribution to society, to bring people, to empower people. It's part of financial inclusion, because the people that cannot afford to buy the new cars, transportation is very important, especially in a developing country like Nigeria, where the public transportation system is not fully developed. So that's why we took this deliberate decision. As risky as it is, we should bring down, the requirements so that people can buy used cars.
Okay, excellent.
So that is one of it. And it's very similar to the conventional auto finance. Of the difference being that is the contract that we go into is based on halal contract.
Okay.
And is also socially responsible, like I told you.
Okay.
In the sense that we bring it lower so that the people in the lower segments of society can afford it. And we also make the repayment terms very flexible. Okay. So if you want to pay in 2 years, then we'll give you. If you want to pay every month, you have the option. If you want to pay every quarter, every 3 months, you have the option. If you want to pay every 6 months, which is twice a year, you have the option.
Okay. Okay. So of course this becomes less profitable, but more ethically responsible. Having said that, I want you guys to check out this brief report by your friend, London-based Islamic finance and banker, Professor and Dr. Humayun Dar. When we watch this video, I'd like to take your comments as well, Mr. Mustafa, and get back to this auto financing because it's very interesting. You guys enjoy this report and stay tuned to Huda TV.
And the basic assumption is that whatever is Sharia compliant, whatever is in line with Islamic law is ethical as well. The statement is correct. Yes, Islamic law is ethical, but its application in Islamic banking and finance may not be ethical. When we look at Islamic banking and financial products, we do not think by and large that they are ethical or socially responsible in nature. Look at the example of an Islamic mortgage. It is different from a conventional mortgage from Islamic legal viewpoint. It is based on some contracts which are Sharia compliant. However, the final outcome, economic outcome, is very similar to a conventional product. So from ethical viewpoint, the two products are almost the same. So those who say that Islamic products by virtue of being Sharia compliant or ethical are wrong. It is very, very important for the future development of Islamic banking and finance that we create Islamic financial products which are not only Sharia compliant, but they are socially responsible and ethical as well.
Well, that was a pretty some pretty interesting comments. We were just talking about auto finance. Of course, that report was talking about primarily mortgages. So I would like to really dip into home finance in the Islamic Bank before we get back to auto finance. And right here, I do have the brochure of Jahiz Bank's home finance program, as well right here as the auto finance. So we're going to talk about both. Let's go back to the home finance first. Mr. Mustafa, if I can get your input on this before we go to Mr. Muhammad from Jahiz Bank. I was in the United States in 2008. The banks offered very, very low interest rates. A lot of people rushed to the bank. They bought 3-bedroom houses with 2 bathrooms, a garage, front yard and backyard. They bought a car, they bought a boat, and in 2 years the whole country crashed. Everybody was crying. The construction sector collapsed. The whole country was on the brink of a disaster. Can you explain why briefly?
You see, this is again due to poor credit decisions which were given to these clients, which you see they gave them a lot of goods and services which are not compatible with their income actually. Right. So certainly if you look at this, this should be a short-term financing process, but actually it extended that they gave a long-term financing and it's very difficult to predict what's going to happen in the future. You see, if you plan only for 2 or 3 years or maximum. Right. You see, to a degree of accuracy of 70 or 60%. You see, so if, for example, if you plan to pay this loan within 2 years, you might be having difficulties. So you have to take the worst case, as we say in finance, that you're going to pay it in 4 years. But actually, the reverse occurred. That they, as you just mentioned now, they finance houses and cars and 30 years and yes, and give you a lot of services and goods and everything, and without having a quite correct analysis of the client. You see, if he's going to be able to pay back all these loans. You see, on another side, as you know, the Western economies, there's no protection for the worker or the employee. You see, if the company collapses, they're going to fire all these people and they're not to find a job. Right. So that means that these loans are not going to be repaid. Yeah, so these factors, when all combined, were not taken into consideration when taking the proper credit decision.
Excellent point. I think there's no balance between the total profit-driven banking sector and there's no balance between ethics and profits, I think, is the main point, I think, here as well. Having said that, Jahiz Bank in Nigeria, first Islamic bank there, what can you guys offer with regard to home finance?
Okay, you know, Professor Humayun Dar mentioned 3 criteria, 3 characteristics. Number one, he said that Islamic products should be Sharia compliant. Number two, they should be ethical. And number three, they should be socially responsible. I'm pleased to tell you that the Jaiz Home Finance you have there, you can show it. The Jaiz Home Finance meets all these three criteria. It is Sharia compliant, it is ethical, okay?
There it is, yeah. There's the main points there, yeah. Go ahead.
It's Sharia compliant, it is ethical, and is also socially responsible.
Okay.
By that I mean it was screened by our Sharia committee.
Okay, right.
To make sure that it's Sharia compliant.
Right.
If ethical, in the sense that it's fair to both sides.
Right.
And it's also socially responsible because we make sure that the pricing, the profit that we put is not very expensive.
Okay.
I can give you an example. Kano State Government, one of the states in Nigeria, the governor of that region approached us and he said he wants a bank to finance home for the workers, for the civil servants, at a single-digit rate. In Nigeria, rates go up to 26% for homes.
Okay.
So, but we gave them a proposal that is on single-digit, and the governor is so happy, he went on the TV and radio and announced that Jaiz Bank had given them to finance civil servants at a single-digit interest rate.
Okay.
So, like I said, our home finance is Sharia compliant, it's ethical and socially responsible.
We actually have a phone call from Brother Luqman from Malaysia. We're actually very pleased to have this call from Malaysia because Malaysia has been, I believe, a model of Islamic finance. Brother Luqman, assalamu alaikum, welcome to our program, Let's Talk. Thank you for calling. Are you there, Brother Luqman?
Alaikum salam. Hello, yes.
Thank you so much for calling, brother. I know you're from Kuala Lumpur, I believe, from what I understand. Brother, there in Malaysia, is there a healthy, thriving Islamic banking system in your opinion?
Yes, we do have a very good system in Malaysia. It started not so long ago, and it's quite popular right now. Most Malaysians trust Islamic finance.
Would you say the majority of the Muslim youth are more inclined to open up checking accounts and savings accounts at the Islamic bank there, or more inclined to go to the conventional banks?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe the younger generations are more inclined to choose the Islamic finance since the older generations have started it, and it's popular right now, and most youths know about Islamic finance and why is it good. And yes, I think we're more inclined to choose Islamic finance.
I certainly am. Thank you very much for your call, Brother Luqman from Malaysia. I certainly appreciate your time. Thank you for calling in. I believe, gentlemen, that Malaysia has been a model, hasn't it, of Islamic finance. Well, why is that?
Well, it's being driven by the central bank.
The federal government?
Yes, the government and the central bank. It was during the former Prime Minister, who was a very charismatic leader, who is a pride for us in the Muslim world, Dr. Mohammed.
Slips my mind as well.
Sorry?
It slips my mind. His name slips my mind as well.
Yes. They call him Dr. Mo.
Okay.
He tried to drive it, and he gave the central bank an instruction that they should, part of diversifying the finance system of Malaysia, they should have the conventional, and then they should have the Islamic system. So I think they have done very well, because also Governor Zeti, who is the lady governor of the Bank Negara, which is the central bank, she's also very passionate. She believes in the benefits of Islamic finance to Malaysians. And alhamdulillah, today in Malaysia, 60% of the customers of Islamic banks are not Muslims. They are the Chinese and the Hindus.
60%?
Yeah, 60%.
Yeah.
Why? Because they saw the benefit in that system.
SubhanAllah.
So
excellent.
Malaysia, you're right, is a model.
SubhanAllah. Having said that, let's go to the studio audience. Mr. Muhammad had some excellent points. He said that 60% of people that bank in Islamic banks in Malaysia are actually not Muslims. Brother Muhammad, I know you're from Nigeria. It's a mixed country of Muslims, predominantly Muslims and Christians as well. Do you think that perhaps Christians, people there, will invest and open up accounts at Jaiz Bank?
Yeah, actually, I believe, as it is explained earlier, that Jaiz Bank is not meant only for Muslims. Besides the Muslims, you have a major number of Christians that they are also banking with them. And also, I believe that, inshallah, in the future, Jais Bank will also has a big support from people of Nigeria. But what I want is from the directors and the managers of the Jais Bank is to try as much as possible to organize the public awareness program for the people so as to know, understand the benefits behind these banks, so that they will be able to bank with them, and then they have a full contention with their funds.
Thank you, brother, for that comment. Is that true? You have Christian investors and people opening accounts with you and customers as well?
Correct. In fact, I would like to seize this opportunity to say that, yes, Jais is an Islamic bank, but our first credit, the first facility that we gave is to a Daniel who is a Christian. And the second facility, the biggest one, also went to a Godwin who is also a Christian. So there is no discrimination in terms of the customer-banker relationship.
Right, okay. So we don't want to say Islamic banking is for Muslims only. It's to benefit all people all around the world. Having said that, what about asset acquisition? What does this term mean? I've heard this term, Mr. Mustafa, asset acquisition. What does that mean in the conventional banking world?
Well, it depends on if you look from it from the credit point of view or from the customer point of view. Asset acquisition from the customer's point of view is, I'll give you an example. If I want to buy a car, the car is going to be owned by the bank. I'm going to take it until I finalize all the installments plus the interest rate as determined by the concerned bank. On the other side, if it's an asset, for example, it's a factory. The factory is going to be mortgaged in favor of the bank until I finish all the loan and repayments of interests and charges and all that, and then the mortgage will be lifted off.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Having said that, thank you for giving us that perspective. What about Jais Bank? How can they compete with this? Do you have a sort of Islamic halal way to do this?
Of the auto finance or
of asset acquisition? Do you have something that can be used in the Islamic banking? Perhaps I think I've heard you mention before household appliances and things like that.
Yes, we have household appliances for mostly the lower end and the upper lower end of the society.
Okay.
Your daughter is getting married, you want to buy her furniture,
right?
You want to buy her cooking equipment,
right?
Etc., etc. So the bank, in a halal way, will help you in acquiring those assets, and also giving you very flexible and very soft terms, which you will pay over time. You know, marriage in some of our societies are very, very expensive. So that's one way of Jais helping and empowering our people.
Okay.
And like I said earlier, it's not only for Muslims, also Christians can benefit.
Everyone
from
can
what we call Jais household appliances.
Can you give us a specific example how that might work? For example, I have a household appliance. I give it to the bank in return?
No.
How
you want to buy a new one.
Okay.
So you want to buy a refrigerator.
For example, okay.
You want to buy an air conditioner.
Okay.
You want to buy microwave.
Okay.
So we can put all this thing together, and maybe if the whole thing cost, let's say $1,000, let's say $5,000,
okay.
Everything put together, and you have only $1,000. So you put this $1,000, and then the bank will put its own $4,000.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then we give you enough time to pay these $4,000.
Okay. Yep. Excellent point. You guys stay tuned. We're going to be right back. You guys at home, stay tuned for more with the director of the first Islamic bank in Nigeria. I know we have a lot of Nigerian viewers, so we certainly hope you guys benefit from this episode. Watch it, share it with your friends, upload it to YouTube. Jais Bank, based in Abuja with branches all over the country. You guys support this bank. It's the first Islamic bank in Nigeria. Stay tuned for more Huda TV.
Go ahead and recite from the beginning, because I have a few comments on the previous recitation. It was great, but I would like to share with each other some comments on a few letters. So I would request you to recite from the beginning, Ya Shu'aib, please.
Okay, تسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم.
Do not be afraid to say Yasha. Do not say Yasha. This is wrong. There is no such recitation.
مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين.
Savings accounts, we all use savings accounts. Let's learn about the difference between opening a savings account at a conventional bank and at an Islamic bank. In particular, we're talking about Jaiz Bank in Nigeria, the first Islamic bank there. We have with us Mr. Mustafa Rida, who has vast experience in the financial sector. So many people might ask, Mr. Mustafa, if I simply put my money in a savings account at any conventional bank, how does the bank benefit from that?
I'll tell you. Well, let us take an example here in Egypt. Now the rate for savings accounts in most banks ranges from 5 to 7%
annually?
Yes. For example, if you deposit £1,000,
okay,
you're going to get say £70 a year.
Okay.
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 Which is 7%, for example, if you take the interest rate.
Okay.
Well, the bank is going to take these £1,000 and give them to someone else at a rate of 9 or 10%.
They're going to take your money and loan it to somebody
yes.
at a higher rate.
So the difference
2%.
Between 2 or 3%, that's the amount that the bank, the profit that the bank
It's
makes.
that simple. That's all they do.
Very simple. Yes.
Do they take it and invest it in buildings and properties as well, or just
no,
money lending? Money lending.
No, it could be in the stock market. You see,
Subhanallah.
in the stock market, they could invest in treasury bills. Here in Egypt now, the interest rate on the government treasury bills is 16%. So
16%,
yes,
right? Yeah.
So you make a lot of money. See, I'm giving you 6%, and I'm investing this money again at 16%. So I'm making a spread of 10%.
Yeah,
so it's quite a good business.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and now you really made that clear to me. When I open up a savings account at a conventional bank, I give them my money for them to loan it to somebody at a really high interest rate. Subhanallah. Before you comment on that, Mr. Muhammad, I want to watch this video briefly from your friend, Professor Dr. Humayun Dar, based in London. You guys, let's check out this clip and stay tuned.
This is a question which many people ask, okay, and my plain answer is no. In fact, Islamic banking and finance should not attempt to replace conventional banking. Why? Where this experiment has been done in the Muslim world, this has not proven to be very successful. There are two competing models in the Muslim world about Islamic banking and finance on a macro level. One is a complete Islamic system. Examples are Sudan and Iran. There, Islamic banking and finance has not prospered a lot. The second is Malaysian model, dual banking system, which recognizes the coexistence of conventional and Islamic. Here, Islamic banking and finance has prospered. Okay. It is a more innovative model, it's a more vibrant model, it's a more dynamic model. Okay. In fact, Mahmoud Al-Gamal, who's a professor of Islamic finance at Rice University, about 10 years back, in fact more than 10 years back, he wrote an article in which he mentioned that for the further development of Islamic banking and finance, it is important that there should be a healthy conventional financial sector. At that time I didn't like that statement, but Mahmoud Al-Gamal, he was right. Okay. The countries where there is a vibrant conventional financial sector, Islamic banking and finance has proven to be more successful. Hence, although many Muslims, like myself, I would like to see more and more growth in Islamic banking and finance, but I don't think this is fair at this point in time to expect from Islamic banking and finance to replace conventional banking and finance. Conventional banking and finance is a huge monster. Okay, replacing it with something very weak Islamic banking and finance is a wonderful thing, but at the end of the day, it's weak. It's like a baby. It cannot replace a monster like Lennox Lewis.
I hope you guys enjoyed that clip. Really some tough words, some tough criticism there of Islamic banking, putting our experts here on the hot seat. The professor there spoke about the coexistence perhaps of conventional banking and Islamic banking side by side in order to create a thriving environment. Let's ask the experts what they think about that. But before we do that, I really want to go back to the savings account. We learned from Mr. Mustafa how that works at any normal interest-based bank. What about your bank? How are you benefiting and profiting to stay in business with a regular savings account?
Our savings account is targeted to the low-income earners or to people also who want to save money in the halal way and go for Hajj.
Right.
And other eligible. We have Hajj savings,
okay,
and we have the normal savings.
Okay.
Now, it's basically very similar to the conventional system. The only difference is we will say our savings rate is 2 to 3%. We cannot say it's exactly 3%.
Okay.
Why? Because he said the conventional bank, they take the money and put it in treasury bills. They already know the rate.
Right.
But here we take the money and then we put it in trade and financing of our customers.
Right.
So it's only when we get the profit that we come back. There is a computer software which will now give out these savings, the profits. It distributes to all the savings.
Right, okay.
So that's the difference. You cannot guarantee the rate, and also you cannot put it in treasury interest-bearing equipment.
Okay.
It has to go into financing trade and other halal activities.
You take a risk, though, don't you, in an Islamic bank? What if you have a loss?
Well, life itself is full of risks.
Right.
Traders make losses.
Right.
People in the agri sector, a farmer goes, he puts all his sweat, his money, everything, and at the end there is no harvest.
Right, right.
So it's part of life. And since Islamic banks also finance trade,
okay,
and agri and other things, from time to time you make losses. But the difference with the conventional system is that in the Islamic finance, there's what we call loss provision account, where if you make the profit, instead of everybody taking the profit and going away, we put percentage of that profit in the loss reserve account. We call it loss reserve account. So when, God forbid, when times are bad and we make losses, instead of telling the saver, the poor saving account holder, that sorry, we cannot pay you any profit, you go to that loss reserve account, take the money and then distribute it.
MashaAllah, that way you keep your commitment with the poor investor in an ethical way. You mentioned something interesting, Hajj savings.
Yes.
What is this Hajj savings account? Sounds interesting.
Well, it's a savings account that you say, look, I want to save, let's say, 10 pounds, 10 Egyptian pounds, or $10.
Okay.
Every month from my salary or from my trade and profit.
Okay.
So if you do that, then you know that it will take you, let's say, 3 years or 5 years every month for you to afford the cost of Hajj.
Right, okay.
You understand?
Right, okay.
Now, somebody will say, no, I want to put 100 pounds. Somebody say, well, I would like to put 500 pounds every month.
Okay.
So if you are putting only 10 pounds, it takes you longer time. So if you only put 10 pounds, maybe it will take you 10 years for you to accumulate. Now, every month from those profits that the bank makes on the savings, they'll give you part of the profit. They'll give you part of it. So your 10 pounds by next month will be about maybe 12, 13 pounds.
Right, okay.
Then it goes like that.
Okay.
Then in another 5 years, then you are good to go for Hajj.
Okay, I see.
If you are paying more, then in 3 years, you can go to Hajj.
SubhanAllah.
So that gives you that flexibility. It's halal and is also flexible.
Inshallah. Excellent points. Challenges facing Islamic banking, Mr. Mustafa, you have a great experience in this field. Using that experience, what are the main obstacles and challenges facing Islamic banking to eventually at least become competitive with to the conventional banking system and perhaps overtaking it one day?
The first one is awareness, certainly, that people are not aware about the Islamic banking system and the benefits of the Islamic banking system. I myself do not know anything about it, and I learned from
me as well.
today.
Thank you so much for your time.
And I thank you for giving me all this information. I benefited.
Yeah, me as well. Thank you so much.
Okay. The other thing is that the misuse of the Islamic mechanism might be
with
problem,
certain
you
banks.
see.
People have lost faith in some of them.
Sometimes you see people, if there's a system, regardless if it's Islamic or non-Islamic, people misuse the system by using fraud and making tricks and all that.
Yeah.
So this might be another problem. Third one would be that convincing the governments and the central banks of Muslim countries to revamp their laws to include a clause that Islamic banks have to be could operate, because certain countries would not allow that, unfortunately.
Because of course the world system.
But the UK, which is a Muslim minority, is not even an Islamic country. They have changed their laws.
This is strange.
Not once, not twice. They changed their laws on stamp duties when you're buying house, because according to Sharia, you have to buy before you sell.
Right.
Now, when you buy the house, when the bank buys the house, you pay stamp duties on the house.
Yeah.
And when you sell to a customer, you pay another stamp duty. So this is what they call incident of double taxation.
Yeah.
So that makes it more expensive for Islamic banks compared to, let's say, a high street bank like Barclays Bank or HSBC. So the Chancellor of Exchequer went to Parliament, made this presentation, and they changed the laws to reflect this.
Jazz Bank now in Nigeria, are you guys planning on going international? What are your plans for the future?
Now we are a regional bank. In another 1 year, inshallah, or 2 years, we'll become a national bank.
Okay.
In another 5 years, we shall, inshallah, 5-6 years, we shall be an international bank. That's why we appeal to Nigerians, both in Nigeria, in other countries like Egypt, UK, United Kingdom, UAE.
All over the world.
All of them. We have channels like internet banking, ATM, all this, they can be our customers.
Of course, the services have to be there as well, because of course many banks have a beautiful online banking, which is very easy to use. Will you be launching that as well? Online banking, people can check their accounts online, that sort of thing?
Correct.
Inshallah, excellent. Let's go to the studio audience. I think Brother Muhammad Hamza had another question in the back. I know, Brother, you are from Egypt. What do you see the future of Islamic banking in your country, Egypt? I know that we have Faisal Islamic Bank here, we have Abu Dhabi Bank here, but I still see the majority of people here using conventional banking. Do you think that will change?
Well, I hope the laws change first, and this will give a chance to Islamic banking to get its chance in Egypt. And about the media, we need here, Egyptian people need to know more about Islamic banking and their strategies of investment and stuff like that. Also there is another problem here in Egypt. There are a lot of misconceptions about Islamic banking. People think that they're the same and there's no big difference between Islamic banking and conventional banking. So all this might change in the near future, inshallah.
Do you think, thank you, brother, do you think that the present debt crisis in Europe and Greece will give Islamic financing to take root all around the world as well? Isn't opportunity for dawah and for the Islamic banking?
Yeah. That's a very important point. And like the media can do a lot in this area, like emphasizing on such crisis that happened to the Euro debt crisis, and before that in the United States. All this, the media can just like show the people the deficiencies of the conventional banking and how this led Europe and before that the United States to these financial crisis.
Yeah, of course. There's a word, Mr. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. There's a word, Mr. Mustafa. I hear it often in Arabic. I don't know what it means. Murabaha. I always hear this term. I think Mr. Muhammad can explain a little bit. What does that mean? I always hear people say, is the contract murabaha, like this word? Yes.
Muraba.
Yes. Please explain this to us, both of us.
Buying and selling. Simple.
Buying and selling.
Yeah.
And that's the basis here.
Yeah.
That's the basis for Islamic finance, isn't it?
Correct.
Buying and selling.
Yes.
Because there is a big difference from buying and selling a product and selling money.
Yeah, correct.
Right. Of course, money lending will always be here. It won't go anywhere. It will always be here. It's the nature of the world economy, and people taking advantage of other people through money lending. Having said that, we do have better options now, alhamdulillah. We have Jahez Bank in Abuja and all around Nigeria. So perhaps you can share with us, the viewers at home, your website, where they can, the viewers in Nigeria, where your offices are located. How can they get online to open up a savings account? Can they purchase stock in the bank itself? Do you have stockholders? That sort of thing.
Okay. Like any bank in Nigeria, even though we're just 1 year old, We have ATMs. We have current accounts. We have...
Meaning checking accounts?
Checking accounts.
Okay, well, I want to talk about that in a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah. We have domiciliary account, where if you have foreign currency, you can go and open an account, and we can keep your money for you, and we can invest. And if you want to transfer to pay school fees or to buy something abroad, we can do that for you. We can open LCs, letters of credit, if you're a businessman, if you're in an industry. In terms of coming on board to be a customer of the bank, you can either go to the branch, or you can go through the email. We have jaizinfo.com. You can apply online. They'll send you the form online.
jaizinfo.com.
Yes.
Okay.
It's there on the pamphlet.
Okay.
So you can apply online. Then they'll give you.
And it's on the screen now. I apologize. Jaiz Bank, right there online. That's your website there on the screen. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
So you can apply online. Then they will screen it. Then once you meet the basics, and they will tell you, okay, everything is okay. You can now come to the bank to complete the process.
Okay.
We are also in the process of doing internet banking.
Okay.
Right now it's ready, but it's only within staff, because there's what we call penetration test to make sure that it's very secure before we open it to the public. But as I'm speaking to you, my colleagues transfer monies. They do, between themselves.
I think this is very important, Mr. Muhammad,
Yep.
for that financial inclusion that you talked about.
Correct.
Because I think all conventional banks, Mr. Musaf, are offering this online banking. If
Definitely.
if it's Jaiz Bank, perhaps it would be the first Islamic bank to do that. I think it would create a great service for people, include many, many more customers. Having said that, I just want to briefly remind the viewers, get online. You guys saw the website, especially if you're based in Nigeria. But having said that, inshallah, in the next several months, perhaps Jaiz Bank will be in many, many more countries. So get online, support this Islamic institution that is doing good work in Nigeria and all around the world, inshallah. The information there is on your screen. Get online, visit their websites. We definitely want to make dua for them and hope that they continue their good work, because Islamic banking is so, so important. And I think now is the time for it to thrive, inshallah, as we see the entire Western world in really an economic crisis. We hope that they look to the solution, which is, of course, Islamic banking, Islamic finance, and, of course, Islam. Having said that, Mr. Muhammad Rida, I certainly appreciate your time. I certainly hope when you return from your next trip to Riyadh that you'll make time for us to visit us here at Let's Talk, inshallah. Mr. Muhammad, of course, it's a pleasure to see you as well. We certainly wish you the best with this bank. We certainly hope to see you back in the near future to talk more about it and perhaps give us an update in a month or two to stay in touch with us. And we really, sincerely, with the bottom of our hearts here, hope that this bank succeeds, because it's very important.
We are committed, inshallah, the bank will succeed and to be one of the best banks in Nigeria, inshallah.
And the world, inshallah.
Inshallah.
I mean, thank you so much for your time. You guys in the studio audience, I didn't get to you guys enough. I certainly appreciate your time. Next episode, I'll answer all your questions. Brother, you had a question from the last episode. I didn't answer it as well. Next time, inshallah. You guys at home, thank you for watching Let's Talk on Huda TV. You support Jaiz Bank, First Islamic Bank in Nigeria. Thank you for watching Huda TV. Until next time, we leave you in the care of Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the dips are high, and you want to smile but have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but do not ever quit. Success is a failure turned inside out. Let's talk and clear the clouds of doubt. Success is a failure turned inside out. Let's talk and clear the clouds of doubt.